Okay, so you just got a big promotion.
Huge congrats. You definitely deserve to celebrate.
And that raise hits your account.
And suddenly you're browsing online for that top-of-the-line espresso machine you've had your eye on.
Oh, yeah.
I think we've all been there.
Totally.
That feeling of, I deserve this
Yeah.
after working so hard.
It's very real.
It's very real.
Yeah.
But before you click buy now, we're diving into something called lifestyle inflation.
It's this sneaky thing that can really trip you up financially.
Yes.
Even when it seems like you're doing great.
You're right. It's so common.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's often driven more by psychology than actual need.
So how do we avoid that trap?
Like, what exactly is lifestyle inflation?
Well, simply put, it's this tendency to increase your spending at the same rate as your income goes up.
Okay.
So it might seem harmless at first glance.
Yeah.
But the real danger is when you're constantly chasing a higher standard of living without actually building any real financial security.
Right. Like you're always stepping up to the next level.
Exactly.
But you're not getting any closer to where you actually want to be financially.
Exactly.
So where do we even begin with this? How do we break free?
Well, I think awareness is really the key here.
Okay.
The first step is just acknowledging that lifestyle inflation is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a real phenomenon, and it can affect anyone,
Right.
even those who consider themselves financially savvy.
Yeah. You know, I actually caught myself falling into this trap once.
Oh, really?
I got a promotion, and suddenly I felt this urge to upgrade everything.
Wow.
New apartment, a fancy watch the works.
Yeah.
But then I realized I was perfectly content before the raise.
Yeah.
It was just this weird feeling of like I was deserving more all of a sudden, and it almost got the best of me.
That's exactly why it's so crucial to recognize those feelings.
Yeah.
When you experience that urge to upgrade simply because your income allows for it.
Right.
Take a step back.
Yeah.
Ask yourself,
Okay.
is this a genuine need or is this just a want disguised as a need?
So then how do we get better at differentiating between those wants and needs?
Especially when that treat yourself voice is so loud.
Sure.
What are some practical steps that we can take?
One of the most effective ways to combat lifestyle inflation is by setting very specific financial goals.
Okay.
So instead of vague aspirations like being wealthy, get really specific.
Okay.
Do you want to pay off a credit card?
Do you want to start investing for retirement?
Establish a solid emergency fund.
Right. Having those goals written down, it makes them feel more real,
Absolutely.
more achievable, like you actually have a plan.
Exactly. It's like having a financial roadmap
Yes.
instead of just wandering aimlessly.
Exactly.
And I think one of the first destinations on that roadmap should be building an emergency fund.
For those who maybe aren't familiar,
Yeah.
what exactly does a solid emergency fund look like?
A good rule of thumb is to have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved up.
Okay.
This basically acts as a financial cushion in case of any unexpected event, like a job loss or medical emergencies or urgent home repairs.
Right.
Having the safety net can prevent you from going into debt when life throws those inevitable curveballs.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like having that financial safety net so you don't have to stress when those unexpected expenses pop up.
Right.
So it sounds like having these clear financial goals,
Yes.
starting with an emergency fund that's crucial to avoiding this lifestyle inflation.
Absolutely.
But how do we actually start putting that money aside without feeling deprived?
That's where the concept of living below your means comes in,
Okay,
which I think we should dive into after a quick break.
let's do it. Living below your means. It's something we hear a lot, but it
Yeah.
can be a little confusing.
It's definitely easier said than done.
Right. What does that actually look like day to day?
Yeah.
Like, does it mean just never buying anything fun ever again?
No, not at all. It's all about finding that balance.
Okay.
And it definitely shouldn't feel like deprivation. Okay, think of it like this. Imagine you get a bigger plate at a buffet.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't mean you're obligated to pile on more food than you can actually eat.
Yeah.
Right? You still get to choose portions that align with your appetite and what feels good for you.
I like that.
So even with a raise, we don't need to completely supersize our spending.
Exactly.
We can enjoy it without constantly upgrading.
Right.
Are there certain areas where people tend to overspend more when they get a raise?
Absolutely. Housing is a big one.
Okay.
Because it's so tempting to think, oh, I can afford that bigger, nicer apartment or house now.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, upgrading your living space usually comes with a ton of extra expenses.
Right.
Higher utilities, more furniture, increased property taxes.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect.
Exactly.
That upgrade leads to all these other additional costs.
Exactly.
What are some other like sneaky areas where this lifestyle inflation can really creep in?
Transportation is another one.
Okay.
People often want to upgrade their car as soon as they get a raise, but a newer car equals higher insurance,
Right.
more expensive maintenance, potentially a car loan.
Yeah, so maybe stick with your current car a bit longer or explore some other ways to get around,
Exactly.
like biking, public transportation, things like that.
Right. It's all about making those conscious choices that line up with your financial well-being.
Right, and that takes us back to setting those clear financial goals.
Exactly.
Like if you're working towards becoming debt-free or you want to retire early,
Right.
those goals should really guide your spending,
Exactly.
even when your income increases.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's about that delayed gratification thing.
Yeah.
That can sometimes lead to more freedom down the line.
Absolutely.
What are some other practical strategies to help us actually live below our means?
I've heard automating savings can be really helpful.
Oh, for sure, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's based on the principle of paying yourself first.
Okay.
Basically, you're setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings or investment accounts right when you get paid.
Right.
So that way you're consistently building up that foundation
Okay.
before you even have the chance to spend it.
Yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
It's like magic money appearing.
Yeah.
Okay, what about those budgeting apps?
What do you think of those? I'll admit I was a little hesitant at first. I
Yeah.
thought they'd be too restrictive
Okay.
or complicated.
Yeah.
But then I actually tried one, and it was eye-opening.
Wow.
See where my money was actually going.
That's the thing about tracking your spending.
Yeah.
It really highlights those small expenses that we don't always think about.
Oh, right.
The daily lattes,
Right.
the impulse buys those subscriptions we're not really using.
Yeah, those definitely add up.
They all add up, and once you see it, it's much easier to make more informed decisions.
Absolutely. And the good thing is there are so many different methods out there.
Oh, yeah. Tons.
Different apps,
Mm-hmm.
budgeting styles.
Yeah, you can find one that fits your personality and how you like to manage your money.
Exactly. And whether it's a detailed spreadsheet, an app that tracks everything,
Right?
or even just the cash envelope system,
Right.
find what works for you and stick to it.
Exactly.
But it's not just about tracking where it's all going right.
Right.
It's also about aligning our spending with what actually makes us happy,
Absolutely.
what actually brings us fulfillment.
Yeah, I think that connection between our finances and our overall well-being is super important.
And we should definitely dive into that.
Okay. It's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking,
Like if I just buy more stuff, I'll be happier.
oh, yeah.
You see those ads everywhere?
Right.
You get caught up comparing yourself on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you need to buy all these things
Yeah.
to feel content.
It's very tempting.
But is that really true, though?
It's a common myth, but research actually shows us the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we might experience a temporary high from buying something new,
Yeah.
but that feeling quickly fades.
Right.
And psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. It basically means we just get used to things,
Yeah.
and then they stop bringing us joy.
So it's like that new car smell.
Exactly.
It's amazing for the first few weeks,
Right.
and then it's just gone.
Exactly, and you're looking for that new thing.
Yeah, you want that new feeling again.
Yeah.
What about spending money on experiences instead?
Does that lead to longer lasting happiness?
Absolutely. Research shows that investing in experiences,
Okay.
whether it's travel or concerts or even trying a new restaurant,
Yeah.
that leads to more happiness and fulfillment.
Well, experiences create memories, right? And
Including-
you can relive those over and over.
And they often involve connecting with other people,
That's true.
which is also a big factor in our happiness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's more about shifting our focus.
From just buying things to creating a life full of those experiences and connections
Exactly.
and personal growth.
Yes.
And it's funny because when we avoid that lifestyle, inflation,
And we're making those smarter choices about our finances.
Yeah.
It actually frees us up
it does.
to do more of those things.
Exactly.
Pursue passions and
It's
invest
like-
in our well-being.
Right. You have more options.
Yeah.
When you're not weighed down by all those unnecessary expenses.
Right. So it's really about aligning your spending with your values
Absolutely.
instead of chasing that temporary high from material things.
Yeah. Focus on the things that truly bring you joy
Exactly.
long term.
Well, as we start to wrap up this deep dive on lifestyle inflation,
Here's the key takeaway.
don't let your lifestyle dictate your finances.
You're in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
You make the decisions,
You're in control.
set those financial goals, figure out where your money's going,
Yes,
automate your savings so you don't even have to think about it.
exactly.
And just remember, true happiness
It's not found at the bottom of a shopping cart.
is not about the stuff.
It's not about the stuff.
It's about the experience.
And be kind to yourself throughout the process.
Well, yeah,
It's a journey.
it's a journey.
Changing those habits takes time, but celebrate those wins along the way.
Absolutely.
Building a healthier relationship with your money.
It's something we can all work towards.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for this deep dive on beating lifestyle inflation.
If you want to continue the conversation, head over to our website.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those financial goals in sight.